Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon to you all. My name's Sebastian Bampton. Thank you very much for joining this Your Overseas Home webinar. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to move to Italy legally and to stay longer than 90 days. It's great to have you all here with us, whether you're listening live or catching up later on demand. For most people, buying in Italy is a very exciting project, and rightly so. There are a lot of other considerations that people should think about. I know a lot of you will probably be looking to maybe relocate or stay there longer than 90 days. And in today's session, we'll get some ideas and some answers to your questions from Katrina and Marta, all about the various visas and residency options that are available to you. Without further ado, I'll pass across to Katrina and Marta. Marta, thank you for being here. I'll pass across to you to do a quick introduction to yourself, please, and move-wise, and I'll go across to you, Katrina, if that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Seb, and thank you so much for having us here today. So what we do mostly on MoveWise is we mainly work with people that made the very exciting decision to move to Italy and relocate there long term. And what we like to do is to follow them throughout the whole process, starting from initial visa assessment, all the way through their residence permit application that allows them to stay in the country. We mostly work with elective residence visas and digital nomad visas. So people who decide to come here and just enjoy the lifestyle, support themselves financially through their passive income, and digital nomads, so people who decide to keep working for their foreign companies while at the same time discovering the Italian lifestyle.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Marta. And I know you touched on it there. There's a few options available for our listeners. I know everyone's requirements will be slightly different, so we'll get into that in just a moment as well. And thanks for being here and sharing your knowledge and time with us. Katrina, same to you. If you wouldn't mind giving us a brief introduction to yourself.
Thank you, Seb, and thank you, Marta, for the brief introduction. I'm Caterina, a licensed attorney in Italy, and I've been working with MoveWise for 3 months and a half so far, and it's been a great experience. We've helped so many people so far to relocate and to make their dreams come true and successfully conduct their life in Italy.
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. I say a really nice point to raise there. I know it is a dream for a lot of our listeners to move across to Italy, and there's a lot to think about. And I think a lot of people gravitate towards the property first, when in reality there are other considerations that people need to start planning and preparing for. So for everyone listening in, you're in the right position now to start that planning phase and to get your questions answered. We have just under 30 minutes for this session. The way that we'll be running it is a question answer style session. So at the bottom right hand side of your screen, there should be a questions tab. If you click on that questions tab, you can type in any question that you like, obviously relevant to Italy, and obviously visas would be best. And we'll try and get round to answering many of those questions via Marta and Katrina within this session as possible. If we don't answer any questions, we will pass across those your details and those questions to the team at MoveWise to follow up with you in a bit more detail after this session. If you want to test it and maybe tell us where in Italy you're looking to move or purchase, get us all very jealous and see how it all works. Yeah, without further ado, I don't want to talk too much myself, so I'll go straight into some of the questions. I suppose a good place to start, I think, Marta, with you would be to give us a brief overview about the kinds of people or clients who come to you who are looking for help with their moving and their long-term plans in Italy.
Yeah, so thank you, Sab. There's mainly two categories of people. Those who, and the main difference I'd say is how they intend to support themselves in Italy. So we have the workers, so people who tend to keep working, but not be employed in Italy. And those can be foreign employees, entrepreneurs, company owners, freelancers. And on the other hand, we have those that don't wish to work. Don't get me wrong, you do not need to be retired. So it's not only targeted towards people that have stopped working because they're retired, because they're perhaps a little bit older, people who can support themselves through investments, rental income, they can still do that. Of course, the main difference is they would not be allowed to work here. So these are the two main categories, I'd say, and yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Marta. I know a lot of the listeners will be looking to maybe rent out maybe a room or some of their properties when they're not there as well. So I think it's good point to touch upon. We've got a few people that have already popped into the chat of where they are looking to move to. Thomas looking, has been in Milan for quite a while. And we'll get round to answering some of your tax questions, I think, that are related to this. And we'll also get around to Rosemary around the minimum amount you must earn in order to get these sort of visas applied for. So the next question that we have is for someone that is wanting to spend more than 90 days a year in Italy, but isn't planning to work there, at all. What are the main options available for those types of clients?
Well, I'd say in this specific circumstance, the elective residence visa would be the best suited option. It's a 1-year visa that can be renewed. It is usually renewed for 2 years, even though, as we know in Italy, these things can be a little bit discretionary sometimes. So it could be renewed for 1 year. And in this case, I'd say what's really important to keep in mind is you need to show that you have a constant stream of passive income. By passive income, I mean pension or an annuity could be considered that, shares, investment, returns on investments, rental income. The threshold is 31,000 euros per year. So that's really important to keep in mind because consulates are indeed quite strict when it comes to the financial requirements. But let's consider that's only a piece of the puzzle because we also need to show that you have an overall stable financial situation. And then you can support yourself without any sort of employment.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Marta. Very clear around the elective visa and also the income required to be eligible. Just a couple of questions I have on that. You mentioned renewals. How do you go about renewing them? Is it the same process as the original application or is it slightly different?
Kata, if you want to take this, I think right now you're very qualified for this.
Yeah,
we're taking quite some renewals. Yeah, we're taking quite some renewals so far. But yes, so there's a distinction that has to be made. So you don't actually renew the visa because the visa is merely a travel document. You renew the residence permit, which is ultimately the title that allows you to legally stay in the country. So the renewal process, it's quite similar to the initial application for the residence permit. What you might want to show in order to, let's say, higher the chances that, or increase the chances that you successfully get renewed is show that you've become an actual tax resident and that you've filed at least one tax return in the country, of course. And for the rest of it, the documentation is similar to the one that you used for the initial application for the residence permit. So motivational letter, financial documentation, pension documentation in case you're retired, of course, and you're applying for an active residence permit, or job documentation in case you're applying as a digital nomad or a remote worker, and the continued lodging, of course.
I think, sorry, one very important thing I would add is, of course, the renewal process will happen in Italy. So you wouldn't have to leave the country for that.
Okay, that's great. And I think, it's something that, of course, people will have to do if they want to stay and renew, and it will be something that arises. Roy has actually asked on this topic, how long does that renewal process normally take to and when should it be done? Is it a couple of months before, or, how long is that process?
Yeah, so the timeline for renewal is a little bit uncertain as everything in Italy, so it can vary between, let's say, a few weeks and a couple months. However, the process can be started up to 60 days before the expiration date of your residence permit. So we always advise people to get a head start and apply for renewal as soon as possible. So around 60 to 30 days before the expiration date.
Sure. Okay, thank you. And again, it's something that I presume that you will have conversations with when you go through clients' requirements as well, and have conversations around what their plan and their plans are in Italy. Just on that, I know we've got some questions that we'll probably get round to a bit further down the line in the webinar. But you mentioned there around the income that requirement. And we have a question from Michael around the financial requirement for a couple. Is that 31,000 euros for a couple, or is that individual requirement?
That's an awesome question. So the fun thing is that the law actually doesn't mention that a couple should have 31,000 euros, or that the single person should have 31,000 euros. So ultimately, the entire couple should have 62,000 euros. But many consulates ultimately decide to ask and verify that the couple has 31,000 euros per person of passive income, of course.
Okay.
Anyway, my best recommendation would be to always check with the single consulate and eventually also email them or ask directly for information, because this kind of information must be double proofed, of course.
Okay, fantastic. And I know Rosemary again had a similar question, so I think hopefully that answers that as well. Just on, I suppose, following on from that, so how does the elective resident visa actually differ from other long-term stay visa routes in Italy?
Well, I think the main difference is that unlike an investor visa or a digital nomad visa, the elective residence visa doesn't carry working rights. And when we say working rights, we mean that you shouldn't work anywhere. Some people may say it's a little bit of a gray area if you're working abroad while living in Italy. Ultimately, Italy has a global income taxation system, so they will know that you have foreign income. So that's the main thing. I'd say the elective residence visa is a fantastic option to come to Italy if you are financially independent. So
sure.
If you make some investments, come and enjoy yourself. But
just on that, Marta, I know you mentioned financially independent, and obviously that's where the threshold of 31,000 euros comes into effect, and that would effectively say, yeah, they're financially independent. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect. And I know you've touched on their working, of course, and there will be some of our listeners who will be looking to work, as you mentioned earlier. What is the digital nomad visa, of course, and how does that tend to be better suited for someone that is looking to work, and what does that offer them?
Well, the digital nomad visa is, or newest visa, is still considered in Italian years a baby visa because it's only been issued in 2024. It started in 2024. And it's fantastic because it allows people to keep their foreign work. So you can either keep your foreign employment as a remote worker, or you can keep your foreign international clients as a digital nomad, all while living in Italy. And that, of course, makes it quite convenient because you don't have to put your career on hold while you are planning an international relocation. So what we ultimately need to show in this case, the core of a digital nomad visa application is that it's targeted towards highly qualified individuals. So you need to show that you're highly qualified either through education, so having a degree, or having at least 5 years of relevant work experience in your field. The financial threshold is quite low for digital nomads. It sits at around 25.5 thousand euros per year of net income. So I'd say people should really focus more on the high qualification side of things.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Marta. Very clear around some of the thresholds there for the visas and how they're calculated. What counts as an acceptable income, and what do the Italian consulates actually want to see proof of when it comes down to those proofs of income?
Good, if you want.
Well, yeah, sure. So as proof of income, as an acceptable income, I would say that it mainly relates to your work-related income. So as opposite to other kinds of visas, such as for other countries, such as Spain, which also relies on passive income, for Italian digital nomad visas is strictly forbidden to show proof of passive income or even savings as a cushion or something that you can rely if you find yourself jobless for a while. Consulates strictly want to say that you have at least usually spent 25,000 euros or 26,000 euros minimum as work-related income. And how we can show that? We usually show that through the most recent tax returns. Of course, it depends if you're at 1099, we will show the 1099 form, the most recent ones, or for a UK employee, a P60, or a form for self-employed people that show that you're above the minimum threshold. Other means to prove this basic income are usually bank statements. We usually attach the last 12 months of bank statements in order to show that the candidates, digital nomads, and remote workers have a continuous flow of active income, of work-related income, plus pay stubs or invoices.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Katrina. I think you said no. There'll be documents everywhere that people need to collect in order to start applying for these,
Hundreds of pages.
Yeah, hundreds of pages. And just on that, actually, I know there's a lot of information out there, online. You've got AI now, you can ask it questions. Applying for a visa, is it something that people can actually do themselves? Is it a possibility for them to do this themselves?
I'd say it is, of course. It's not impossible to apply for a visa by yourself. However, what I'd say where I would, with a little bit of self-promotion, recommend going to a professional is because when it comes to visas, there's always some level of discrepancy between what you find online and what may be the official requirements and what is the actual practice of the consulate. So it is good to work with someone that also has professional, like, lived experience with the relevant consulate that you will be going to, and can actually tell you what it looks like going there, not on paper, but in real life, and what they are specifically looking for, what they appreciate, what would make you a better candidate. And it's a lot of document collection. And I do think that it's better to do it in a structured way, especially because, life can get in the way and it can get very overwhelming. So having a case manager can definitely help you with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can completely agree. I think when we speak to clients that every day they're looking to purchase in Italy, and there's lots and lots of things to think about and plan for. As we know, in Italy as well, they have their own way of doing things, but also it's a foreign language and foreign laws. And I know if you perhaps do the application yourself and something goes wrong, it can delay the whole process, and you can obviously lose quite a lot of time to get back on the back of that application. So yeah, I think really important to note that you're here to explicitly help with them, but also, as we know, there's a lot of options. Every client is different, and having that conversation with someone like yourselves, you can put forward a plan which is actually representative of what they're looking to achieve. Okay, that's great. And I know we've got quite a few questions here coming through, and we will try and get around to. We've got a question here actually from Thomas. I'm not sure who's better suited, Katerina or Marta, to answer this. So Thomas lived in Milan for a couple of years, some time ago, about 30 years ago, and has a tax history there and some experience. Would he need to start an application from scratch, or is there some already pre-done documentation that would speed up the process in that example?
Well, this is, having lived in Italy and having prior experience here, it's definitely something that could make your application stronger when it comes to your motivations. So especially if you're applying for an elective residence visa, they do like to see that you're committed to staying in the country long term. However, unfortunately, that does not make the paperwork burden lighter. So you'd still have to restart an application, but what I'm saying is have some words there. So especially for an ERV, I would mention it because that's definitely something they like.
Okay, thank you, Marta. And just another question here. I know this comes up quite frequently as well, so I thought I'd just drop it in there. Is Jack says that his wife has an Irish passport. Would he need to apply for a visa, or would he be able to move to Italy as a spouse of his wife with a European passport?
Yeah, so unfortunately, yes, but the thing with an Irish passport, definitely, as Marta said before, the whole bureaucracy of things might be lighter, definitely. Of course, if he weren't a citizen of if he was a citizen from a third party from the European Union, the paperwork would be definitely more hard.
Yeah, no, he can definitely come to Italy and as a spouse of his wife, and the process in that case would be a family cohesion process, and he would not be required to have a visa. As a UK citizen, he can come here on his visa waiver and then proceed with the application directly in the country.
Okay, thank you both. Yeah, it's a good question, Jack. I know it comes up fairly frequently as well, so thanks for asking. We'll move on to the actual buying of a property. I know most people here will be looking to purchase a property. First and foremost, does one need to have a visa in place before they purchase, or can they actually purchase a property before a visa application has been approved?
Actually, no, you don't need a visa to purchase property. However, at the same time, property doesn't owning a property doesn't give you access to any kind of shortcut when applying for a visa. It definitely makes the whole process a bit easier, as it, especially for elective resident visa applicants, it demonstrate a more serious intent to relocate permanently. And the same applies also for digital nomads, but definitely doesn't give you access to early residency, or it doesn't make lighter the whole immigration process once one comes to Italy and has to file for the whole residence permit application.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Katerina. And I suppose on that note as well, it's about understanding if they want to move in straight away and stay there long term as well straight away, because I think they've got that 6-month period where they can stay in Italy, and then if they were looking to stay longer, of course they would need to have that long stay residency in place or visa coverage in place.
Yeah, so it's funny because as Italian citizens, we can stay in the UK longer than UK citizens can stay in Italy, because for UK citizens, it's limited to 90 days over 180. So it's actually 3 months. Even though us as Italians can stay in the UK for 6 months on a visa waiver, UK citizens have only 3.
Sure. Yeah. I know a lot of it's been around for some time now since Brexit, but it's still a really important point to highlight as well. I know we mentioned about potentially people doing this themselves. I know visas applications can be rejected or refused. What are some of the common reasons why they could be rejected or refused over in Italy?
So my first guess would be, aside from not having the aforementioned requirements, presenting a set of documents that is disordered and unclear, so not well organized. What we usually strictly recommend is to our clients is to follow the specific order of documents that we give them. We make an index, and as the first thing, we usually put a motivational letter, then the job documentation that clearly shows that the person fulfills all the necessary requirements in terms of work experience and in terms of also current job or offer letter, and ultimately a finance summary that explains in a clear and convincing manner how the finances are related to the work that will be performed from Italy. And definitely also one thing that is usually left behind in the whole paperwork process is the registration of the lodging to the tax agency. This is something that a lot of people ask, and yes, unfortunately, whether it's a lease, a rental of 12 months, 18 months, or a deed property, it must be registered through the tax agency. And the receipt of the registration must be showed to the consulate and also to the authorities that are competent for the residence permit application.
And we have heard of, we had people come to us. We haven't had rejections regarding this because, of course, we always tell people to do it. But we had people come to us after a rejection because they failed to provide the registration of the tax agency or a valid deed. Accommodation is a big topic.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of complications does that actually create if someone is rejected? Are they then able to reapply straight away, or do they have to wait?
They are technically allowed to reapply right away. So there's 2 different things you can do once you receive a rejection. You could appeal that at the Administrative Court of Rome. As licensed attorneys, we could appeal, but as honest people, I'd say we always advise against appealing. It's a very long process. It can take up to 3 years if you're planning to relocate quite soon. Also, if the problem with your application is something that's quite apparent, like you're lacking an accommodation document, what we suggest is let's look over your application, let's put it together again, in just a better way and reapply right away. You actually have no limitations. There's not like a period of time you need to wait before you can reapply.
Then, of course, if the rejection is depends on lacking some of the requirements that we mentioned before, we have to have a different discussion.
Yeah.
If, for example, if you don't have the 6 months of prior experience, then we have to wait another additional months, the sufficient amount of time that you need in order to fulfill all the requirements in terms of job experience and finances also.
Yeah, perfect. I know we're slightly running out of time here, but I think it's a good point in the webinar to kind of bring into the conversation that some people listening in may be looking to purchase it, in a year's time or longer. Some will be looking, 6 months or even sooner. From your experience, when does it necessarily make sense to start having a conversation with, yourselves and MoveWise about this, and what does that actually look like in regards to those first steps?
Well, I'd say I know it can be very exciting to think about Italy and to look at beautiful houses. Our best advice is always talk about the visa first, figure out the visa first. So have at least an initial consultation, figure out which way to go. So what kind of visa to apply for, and then go ahead with house purchase. Just because an application can be prepared in a matter of months. Okay, we can prepare in 2 months, in 3 months, but we need to see if everything is in line, or if you might have to wait another year before you can actually qualify for a visa. So choosing the right type of visa has a really strong impact also on the timeline of your relocation.
Yeah, really interesting point to bring up. And I suppose that initial conversation, what is that, a video call with you guys, and what does that look like in regards to starting to have a conversation about the visa options?
So we usually have a first assessment with our clients where we take a full hour we basically do a legal x-ray of the client's job, the client's finances, and of what kinds of chances in terms of lodging they have. Some clients might even fly to Italy. They have already planned a trip to Italy just to look for houses, either to purchase or to rent. And that's one thing, of course. Then once we did this whole assessment hour, we confirm the eligibility of the person, and we actually start working we'd say at least 2 to 3 months before the intended visa application date, and we start put together all the documents in case the client needs assistance for the rental contract renewal. The rental contract review. We of course provided. We also liaise with the agents if it's needed, and we support it also through the registration process if they need it, of course. Ideally, however, if there's a purchase of property or a house hunting process of some kind, we would recommend to start the process at least 2 months and a half before, because ideally we won't want to have the contract and the registration in place 1 month before the visa application.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's a good time to also point out, you would have noticed on the screen there's a QR code there. If you are listening in and you'd like to have that initial conversation, please do get your phones out and scan that QR code to book a time to speak with Marta, Katerina, or the team at MoveWise, and start having it and thinking about this part of the process and planning for it. Would be our advice for sure. Now we've got a couple of minutes. I know there's quite a few questions here that I've been seeing coming in. Some of them we have answered, but we'll just repeat just because I know some people may have missed or joined a bit later. So just quick fire around here. Going back to the spouse with an Irish passport example, Caroline asked, my husband had an Irish passport, I have a British, will he need a visa? So just to clarify, he wouldn't need a visa in that circumstance.
Yeah, he wouldn't need a visa. Ireland is in the European Union, so he could come here. He has freedom of relocation, and you can come along as their spouse.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And going back to some of the requirements for the ERV, the 31,000 euros, if someone is perhaps has a property in Italy that they own and then they're renting out that property, would that income from the rental also be counted towards that 31,000 euro threshold required?
Yeah, rental income is. However, what I recommend when it comes to sources of passive income, there is a slight difference from consulate to consulate. So most consulates accept rental income. Not all of them. I know LA is very skeptical. So London accepts it. LA is a bit skeptical about rental income. So I would always double check because they do list the passive income sources that they consider acceptable.
Sure.
But yeah, the
Okay.
fact that the houses in Italy wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, brilliant. I say it's good, and I know those kind of questions you'll discuss on those calls as well. We've got a question here from Michael around golden tickets. I presume it's in relation to golden visas. Is there a golden visa in Italy? Is that something people can actually achieve over there?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, no.
Very sorry, but unfortunately we don't have a golden visa that's akin to the Portuguese or the Spanish
Exactly.
one. There's no visas that are tied to real estate purchase. So we're very sorry, but there's still great options.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mike, you never know in the future, there might be an option coming through. But yeah, it's a good question because I know in other countries they have had them or do have them currently as well. And I think most of these we have now answered. So yeah, Marta, Katerina, thank you so much for going through that with us. And I hope everyone listening in has found it really useful. We do, of course, strongly advise you having that conversation. It's a really easy conversation to start the process with, and it's something if you are looking to stay long term in Italy, to have sooner rather than later. What you'll see on the screen popping up soon should be two pop-ups. The first one, I hope, will be for a Trustpilot review for all of us. And if you found this session useful, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a review on Trustpilot. And the other one is just to book a consultation call with us if you'd like to talk about the general buying process outside of visas. I will leave you all to the rest of your afternoons or mornings, wherever you're based. Katerina and Marta, thanks again so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you and really appreciate all your time and knowledge throughout this session.
Likewise. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.